Well, that last video ran a bit longer than I expected because I forgot that I was recording. Yeah, I was in the middle of thinking, and then some a thought came into my head, and it was quite an important one. Um, and I just lost the concentration there that I was actually getting to. So anyway, this car, it's an easy process. You sand down the body where the lacquer's peeling. And then you got two options. You can sand it down and feather it until it's thin enough to just feather the lacquer on, or you've got the option of painting the panel again and then lacquering it. And obviously, if you're changing colour, you've got to do the same process. So it's not a hard process to do. It doesn't take long to do. If you've got the tool to do it, a sander, then you can sand down a car in half an hour, have it prepped and ready for painting, and have it painted on the second hour, and by, I don't know, 5 hours later, if you're very, very careful, and this is not cooking it in an oven, by the way, if you're very, very careful, and you let's say you get a hairdryer or a heat gun, and you heat up the chemical reaction in the lacquer, in the clear coat, then the fumes will evaporate, and you can, if you're very, very careful, polish the newly painted paint job. Yeah, so you can wet sand it to I don't know, to get rid of any nibs and stuff. You know, any little bobble bits of paint or lacquer. You need to sand it. I say 1,000 P1000. I would say that would be okay to polish it back. But 1,200 would be better because you've got no risk of going through the paint. But if you got like a cork, and you glue the sandpaper to the wet and dry to the cork, to the end of the cork, and you use it, or even wrap it around it and use it that way. You can use it as a denibber, right? Because those things are like 50 quid, 30 to 50 quid for a denibber. And if you lose it, well, you've got to buy another one. So, yeah, it's not too hard to paint this car. I could do it in a weekend and have it back on the road, polished and looking great. Weather permitting, obviously, weather can be a factor. But if I put a gazebo over the car and paint it like a paint booth, then I'll be able to sort of stop any elements. Fortunately, where I am located to do this work, there is a hell of a lot of side space from the car, so I've got maneuverable space. I can maneuver. In the past, I've had to work in very tight spaces like that. That's how much room I had from the garage wall to the door. That was enough just to get in, slide into the thing. One tip though, if you ever have to do that, wind down the window first, and leave it in the garage with the windows down, just slightly, so that when you get in, the angle isn't right here with the window, and you've got to try and get past it. If it's down a bit, there's a lot more clearance. So yeah, that was a learning curve, having to work I'm doing all the mechanics underneath in the engine, everything in a space this big, both sides, because I had tools on with the extra space, so that meant that there was only still about that much space on that side. Luckily though, I had the right jack, so I could lift the car enough to get underneath and work on it. Did a lot of work to that car, learnt a lot, but yeah, fucking took it off the road. I didn't maintain it. It came off the road 60, 70 mile an hour, in traffic, sliding off the road, through a sign. If you ever hit a sign, duck, because it'll take your fucking head off. But if you're in a Mini, they go underneath. So yeah, they're just literally a little bit of clearance. If they just made them a little bit higher, you could go under them in Minis, and you'd never have damage to the car. Well, apart from the front end, which is where you hit the post, because the post is only so many centimeters apart or meter apart, so you're bound to hit it with the car. But they're made out of fiberglass, so they're hard and hard wearing, but they destroy very easily at speed if you go through them with a car. So yeah, you've got to take that into consideration when coming off the road on the highway. They tried to charge me for it. That's what they said. That's what they did say. The police said, "Oh, you'll probably get charged for the sign," but I never heard much about it, so I don't know. But it was an accident. The car just slid off the road. Put the brake on and it just went. Phew. I swear there was dripping oil from the brake lines, and when I inspected the car, and maybe they come loose. Maybe I can't see them coming loose, but maybe somebody tried to tamper with them. Maybe they just got used so much, but they did come loose. But I think that somebody messed about with them, to be honest, because they seemed a bit loose for me doing the work myself. I knew how tight they were. I probably used a torque wrench as well, so. And that's what I need to buy, a torque wrench. But I don't plan on doing much mechanics. There's not really much point in buying more tools. But a torque wrench has to be replaced. Yeah, a torque wrench has to be replaced. I lost one. Someone stole one, or I misplaced it, or whatever. There's me rolling that. Dickhead. Yeah, so the painting could be done in like 8 hours. Painting, polishing, and then just let the car just sit. But they do recommend you don't put wax on a car that's been painted. Polish is fine, but wax and compound is fine, but wax is not. You can't let the paint breathe, and I think it takes something like 2 weeks for the paint to breathe or something to harden. I think that's when it's been in an oven. So the way I do it outside or in the garage or whatever, with no oven, it's literally relying on the natural process to happen. So it could take 2 weeks, or it might be longer. But what I do know is if you're driving behind me, you will smell my car. You will smell the paint and the lacquer and the chemicals coming off it for a few weeks. So yeah, but you can touch it once you wet sanded it and polished it. You can touch it. You can press on it quite hard, and it won't destroy any damage. It won't damage any work to it. But what I was gonna do was decal it and paint over the decals and remove the decals and have like the. I've done it before with lace curtains and stuff like that. Getting the patterns. This is what I did with my original car. I was an artist. I am an artist. I I painted that car with a graffiti style art design, which was unique. And the car was unique because I built it to be unique. I replaced old for new, but I didn't upgrade. Apart from one part, which was the drop links, because I made them thicker and they were just handled better. But other than that, it was just a mini. But I do have the impression that one day I'll find out that the original mini that I had was remapped, because I don't know. I don't know. I haven't driven a mini for so long that the one that I've got is on limp mode, so I don't know how fast that car can go. But what I do know is when I was breaking down and overheating at 1 o'clock in the morning and trying to get to the garage, I was doing something like 70, 90 down. I think I went past the speed camera as well, but it was facing the other way, I think. Anyway, I was doing high speeds down this high street area, not the actual high street, but a road round the town, and trying to cool the engine down. And then the engine did cool down. But when I got to the garage, all garage owners should take heed here, right? When you break down, and I've got just some money in my pocket to fix my car to keep going, and you haven't got the product that I need in the garage for easy start, what else? Coolant repair, leak, coolant flush. That's the one you should have, coolant flush, because if you're overheating, you need to flush it out. So the only thing you can do is flush it out and carry on your journey, right? And as you flush it, you carry on your journey. You obviously fill it with coolant, and if you've got any leaks or anything, you put in a leak repair. If for suddenly you've got no loss of power or whatever, you need to be able to buy injector cleaner, right? You need these products. You don't need screen wash. Well, you do need screen wash. You don't need shampoo. You don't need all these things in the local garage for sale. What you need is to think what the motorists need in a time of crisis. Because at 1 o'clock in the morning, when I turned up at that garage, he had nothing. I had to wash out my car with screen wash, which in itself is a chemical. So it seems to have done the job. So obviously I've used coolant flush and stuff since, but it helped. It did help putting screen wash into the coolant. Essentially, all you're going to do is flush it out, open up the tap and let it out, that's all you're going to do. So, yeah, let's put 5 gallons of fucking 5 litres of screen wash, maybe even 10 litres, 2 bottles. I do know that I half-inched a couple of bottles. I didn't pay for them because I was putting so much in. I just paid for what they thought I had empty bottles. No, I was being very foolish. I was desperate, absolutely fucking desperate to get home at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was only a 10-mile journey, no, 20-mile journey, 15, 20-mile journey away from home. And stupidly, I'd driven this car thinking that I was test driving it. Really, it was not in a good way, because the woman, old Lizzie, that had the car before me, uh, she didn't look after it. She didn't put oil in it. She didn't put coolant in it. She didn't put water in it. She didn't put screen wash in it. I think she might have had screen wash in it, but there's no oil. There's no coolant. The coolant was all gucked up to fuck it buggery. It was fucking orange. So that's a mixture of something getting in there, I think. That's why coolant bottles always look discoloured, because something happens and destroys the coloration of the plastic bottle on the minis anyway. So yeah, she didn't put anything in the car. She wondered why the car wasn't running and why it not performed the way that it did when she bought it. Because nobody's ever taught her how to look after a fucking motor. So I decided that I was going to teach and show the youth of the world how to look after cars. And someone said to me, do you think it's a good idea showing them how to look after cars when they'll probably be buying and driving electric cars, which you know nothing about? I was like, okay. But they can't afford electric cars. Kids, young people, first-time drivers, even older first-time drivers are buying little cars, buying easy to maintain cars. So they need to know how to look after them, maintain them. Because I'm in my 40s and I can't afford an electric car. So how is an 18-year-old gonna suddenly get credit for £400 to £700 a month on a fucking electric car, like a Tesla or something? But yeah, I came up with the idea of teaching. So this whole process has been based around that, but I've yet to make those videos. I keep coming across a problem. Every day there's a problem. Today the problem was I couldn't carry enough equipment to do a full valet on the, because I was carrying it on the fucking bus. And he wanted a valet, and I was like, I don't mind doing the valet for free. It's only cleaning and wiping down and making it smell nice. It's not hard work, as long as it's in a fairly good state. And shampooing the seats. If I'd have been able to do the valet at the location, I would have done the job and made the video today. But he said, well, maybe we can do it later. And then an hour later, he was like, oh, but I can't do it in 2 hours' time because I've got a meeting. So it was like, okay, so you've only given me a 3-hour window. It's not going to happen. He said it's not going to happen. I was like, okay. So we've got to rearrange it. That's for next Tuesday. So it's all coming together. But because I've got no power or nowhere to do it outside my house, I can't move this car anywhere. I can't do anything. I cleaned it the other day and I put some decals, stuff on it, but I haven't done anything with the car for a long time now, at least 3 months, 2 months. Other than try and fix it, I mean, I haven't been able to polish it. So, and it's white. So I've got the impression of maybe not buying another car, but prepping this one for paint, because it's not going anywhere. So I could quite easily paint it where it is. Yeah.